I wanted to get started and just say good morning. My name is Mrs. Nikki Kanzia. I'm one of the assistant principals at IC, and I am just grateful to have the opportunity to meet with our families who are walking that high school journey. And we know this has been a journey like none other, right? This year has been very unique. And we're just so excited to have so many of you spend some time with us. One of the things that I have shared throughout this journey with our parents, and if this is the first time you're on one of our night bites, we're happy to have you. We've typically done some kind of a slideshow or presentation, but we wanted to make sure today that we kind of strip all of that down and really present to you what's truly important. And in my personal opinion, and I know we share this as a faculty staff, but our administration cannot do our daily tasks without the people who are in the classroom, boots on the ground, making it happen every day. And so we are so blessed to have an amazing faculty and staff at IC Catholic Prep. And it was really important for us to share some of them with you. And so we will have an opportunity to speak to our faculty staff. We are going to have some time for questions as well. I'm glad some of you are using that chat feature. You know the drill. So if you have questions, that's a great way to start, is jump in on that chat feature. You're always welcome to unmute yourself as well. But we wanted to start this morning and introduce Mr. Stephen Davidson, who is our principal, and just to give us a little kickoff, and then we'll go through and introduce some of our faculty that are with us this morning. We're happy to have you. Good morning, Mr. Davidson.
Good morning. How is everyone this morning? Beautiful sun shining today.
It's sunny. It's great.
Starting to feel like winter a little bit, but I'll take the sun over the gray skies every day, right?
Absolutely.
So, I can't speak more highly of our faculty, this year especially than any other year. This is not a easy job in any year, and it's definitely not an easy job in the middle of a pandemic. But I would say, our faculty has been unwavering in their desire to be with our students, to engage our students daily in conversation, in discussion, in rigorous classwork, in making that connection with students, and just how are you doing today? It's really important here at IC for our students to get involved and be involved in clubs and sports and in the class, obviously, too. And our teachers, who are not just teachers, but are also coaches and moderators, and everything that they do here are just phenomenal. They bend over backwards for our students. They're going to challenge them, and we want them to challenge your students. That's very important to us. But they're also going to support your students, build that relationship with your students. And the work they've done this year, it's not an easy year, right? And you could see the fatigue on teachers' faces during some of these times, and they come back every day, and they burn the candle at both ends, and they work with our students, and they reach out to the students who are struggling, and they're just phenomenal. And if you know a teacher, right, you should thank them, right, especially for this year, right? And so my heart goes out to all the teachers in the world, but especially our teachers who just continually show up every day and give 110%. And it's known by our parents, it's known by our students, and that connection is really important. And they've done a great job with technology this year and creativity, and the amount of time that each teacher has to spend in figuring out how does COVID or all the restrictions that happen impact, how do I reach students, and how do I still make this an effective lesson? And it's unbelievable. And I'm just my heart goes out to every one of them. I'm so grateful. We've just completed Thanksgiving, and we're approaching the Christmas season. The blessings that we have for the people that work in this building, it's amazing, right? And so I'm really excited for you to get a chance to meet some of our teachers here. We have a host of teachers here from different departments to be able to answer some of your questions, and just have some good conversations too. And I can't wait for you and your sons and daughters one day to get to meet all of our teachers and coaches and moderators, because you'll see exactly what I see every day, a group of dedicated teachers who, this isn't a job, this is a vocation, this is a love that they do every day. And it's obvious and evident in everything that they do. So I'm very excited for you to meet our teachers today.
Thanks, Mr. Davidson. We appreciate you taking a little time with us as well. And very well said. We are blessed to have some amazing individuals. I often say that our students and our teachers are the very best part of who we are at IC. And I think you'll find that for yourself as well. And so teachers, while you're on with us this morning, if we could just start and introduce yourself, tell us who you are, what you teach, what department or departments you exist in, and maybe your clubs and activities or athletics that you moderate or coach. Let's start there. That kind of gives us a sense of kind of that expansive piece of your career and your work on campus with us. And so, Mr. Paolelli, you're just right to my right here on my screen. So I'm gonna just jump right in. And if you don't mind, that would be awesome. You could kick us off.
All right. Well, my name is Joe Paolelli. I teach in the theology department. I teach freshman theology, which focuses on the Bible. And I also teach one senior theology course called Apologetics, which is based on sort of the tough questions and difficulties people have with faith, especially in the modern culture. So it's a really fun class to teach. I love getting into these questions with the seniors. I also teach Latin, and we have Latin 1 through AP, so we teach 4 levels of that. So those are my classes that I teach. And then I'm also the moderator of the chess club and moderator of what's called Academic Challenge, which is like a competition for academic tests. So it's sort of like athletics of the mind in a way.
I love it. And Mr. Paolelli has done just a beautiful job with expanding those offerings in our Latin program. I love what you've done though this year with moving virtual with our chess club. Really, I think Mr. Davidson said it best in terms of we feel it's important to be together. We feel it's important for our social emotional well-being to continue with our activities. And so not only do we have great things happening on campus, but also in the virtual sense. So we're very excited about that as well. Thanks, Mr. Paolelli, for being with us this morning. We'll be back to you in a little bit. I see Mrs. Tardif next to my right. So go ahead and jump on in.
Thanks. See, this is what we do all the time. We yell at each other and yell at the kids. You're on mute. Sorry.
It's the phrase of 2020, right? You're on mute.
It is. It really is. My name is Sarah Tardif. I'm actually the theology department chair, so I work very closely with Joe. Usually I am teaching the junior courses, which is a course on morality and Catholic social teaching. This year, I also have one of our freshman level theology courses, which is another great opportunity to meet some more students before they get to me junior year. I'm also in charge of our liturgies and prayer services. So actually next week, we have a Feast of the Immaculate Conception Mass that we're going to be having at the church for half of our students on Tuesday and half of our students on Wednesday. And this is a great way that our students get involved. Typically, we have lots of involvement in music and reading and Eucharistic ministering. Obviously, that looks a little different this year, but it's also an organization, the liturgical ministry, that I kind of put together and work with the students on making our liturgies and prayer services more meaningful for them.
Great. Mrs. Tardif also has a very unique distinction of being not only an alum with us, but also she is also one of our parents. And so we're very blessed for that. So Mrs. Tardif, if it's okay, maybe a little later, we'll put you on the spot for sharing that unique distinction as well. I think it gives you a very unique perspective and how to bring that to fruition for families. Awesome. Sure. Great. Okay, Mr. Nitchin, let's go through that classroom of yours. Who else is in there with you?
Well, so Mrs. Tardif is in the room here, Miss Doyle's in the room, and Mrs. Havrish is in the room as well. So we're all kind of just hanging out in here. But if you want me to go next, I'll talk about.
Sure, please.
You here. So my name is Tom Nitchin. I am the senior English teacher. So I teach all the English 4 students, AP Lit, freshman honors, and this year also wrapping up this semester teaching computer apps and web design. And I am the head sophomore boys basketball coach here as well. So a lot of different things under my hat, but you know, in the English department, the AP section of seniors is AP Lit and Composition. We also have an AP course for the juniors, which is AP Language and Comp. So they're able to take those classes, and then at the end of the year, take the AP test to try to get the you know, the college credit to knock off some college classes for them. So we have that as, you know, a junior offering and a senior offering as well. And before that, we have at the freshman and sophomore level, we have both the I guess we would call it the college prep level, and then also the honors level classes. So that's kind of how the English department runs with regard to those type of things there.
Awesome. Love it. And I had the great privilege, sometimes maybe perhaps some of you may have met him, of working with Mr. Nitchin in our admissions piece of the puzzle. He's a wonderful representative of the school. And maybe you saw him last year at one of our school fairs or on a tour, but we're just blessed to have him on our staff for sure, and all the things that he does for us. Ms. Doyle, welcome. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great.
So
thanks.
I'm Megan Doyle. I am also in the English department. So I teach English 2, so the college prep sophomore level, and then I also teach the electives. So I teach journalism as well as creative writing, and then I also teach a class called Strategies for Academic Success, which is a reading prep class. In addition to that, I'm also in charge of the school newspaper, and I coach girls basketball as well.
Yes. And Ms. Doyle, is this your third year or second year already with us?
This is my second year.
It feels like third, but we love you. You know, Ms. Doyle jumped in feet first, and you'll hear that me say the same thing about Ms. Havrish, just wanting to be a part of the community. And I think that's what I love most about our educators. It's not just coming to school, working, you know, 7 to 3:30 every day. Our teachers put in so much time, and whether it's an activity or working with students or creating something new. Ms. Doyle, actually, if your student is already registered for our entrance exam, you will have the privilege, your student will have the privilege of working with Ms. Doyle this evening for our exam workshop. And so you'll get to know her a little bit through that as well. And we're very grateful for all the things she does as well. Ms. Havrish, good morning. We actually had the privilege of seeing you on our virtual tour last night. Thanks for letting us bump into your room. We're happy you're back with us this morning.
Yes, good morning, Yuki. How are you guys doing today? This is my third year, like Ms. Kanzia said, here at IC, and I could not be more excited to be part of this faith-based, high academic community here at IC. I teach biology, so I teach all of the levels of biology, freshman, and then or freshman honors, regular, and AP. So I'm blessed to see the kids grow in their sciences here at IC. And then I'm also involved with the aspect of planning prom. So that's been a little bit difficult for the past 2 years. But if COVID allows, I will be involved in that this year as well. So.
It's awesome. One of my favorite memories with Ms. Havrish, your first year, and we were hosting some kind of event, and I said, I'm just looking for people to, you know, to come and introduce yourself. And Ms. Havrish was always, and you always are, one of the first people to say, I'll be there. And I love that, because it's really just that relationship piece that we look for, not only amongst ourselves, right, but also with our families. And so I'm grateful for all you do as well. And we're going to head on down towards the bottom of my screen here. Miss Angela Sebastian, we're so happy that you're with us this morning too.
Thank you.
I know some of our families may have had the opportunity to meet you either through phone call or tours, but we also had the privilege of hearing from you on some of our videos and some of our other virtual events. So we're happy to see you in person. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you. So my name is Angela Sebastian. I am an IC Catholic Prep alum from the class of 1996. This is my 9th year at IC Catholic Prep. I teach social studies, specifically in elective sports in U.S. history, where we look at race, class, and gender as it reflects through society and history. And then I'm also director of the Fairley program, and I provide academic support to students with documented learning needs. So students would work with me during the day for a little extra support if they do have that need.
Awesome. I think it's just such an important program, but you know, you had said in one of our videos, and I love this, it's not just for those students with that documented need, right? I mean, that's really where that started with Sister Megan Fairley, but we have an awesome opportunity with your credentials and just reaching out to be a resource for all our students, really, and for our teachers as well.
Correct.
That just
Right.
provides this wraparound support, kind of like I look at it as like a warm blanket, right? And that's just really
No,
exciting that we have
thank
that.
you. Yeah, so just to add to what Ms. Kanzi was just saying, I'm also a certified reading specialist. That's what my master's is in. And I'm also a certified K through 12 special education teacher in the state of Illinois. They call that a learning behavior specialist. So if we have any students that need just a little extra, or we need to consult with one another, I'm here to do that and kind of serve as a instructional coach for other faculty when they might need me to.
Awesome. We're so blessed to have you and appreciate all you do. And I love that you're an alum as well. And it's such a special connection that we have. That's awesome.
Thank you, thank you.
So teachers, let's go through, kind of walk me through your class. Let's say we walk into our Latin class, we walk into theology. What does that look like? How does a typical class work? Many of our children may have gone through our virtual shadow experience. In a typical year, we love for them to be on campus, but walk me through, put me in your classroom, tell me what that looks like in terms of your structure and how you like to structure your classes. Go ahead, Mr. P. I see you ready to go and I appreciate it.
Okay, yeah. So I think that the answer is going to differ for each teacher because we've got some really unique characters working here. But I would say that for me, the priority is to, as a theology teacher and in a way as a Latin teacher as well, to make the content relevant to the student in some way, simply because the content itself is important, but the students don't necessarily recognize that as 14, 15, 16-year-olds. So the goal is to connect it to their life, connect it to their experience, and then that shows them that, oh, this actually makes a difference, or this is something I can understand very easily, even if it is an ancient language or a text that was written 2,000 years ago. So that, in my opinion, would start with some sort of interesting kind of grabber. I like to kind of grab their attention right from the start. And I think that has to be the priority to keep it relevant because, learning has, cognitive benefits, obviously, but I think that as a Catholic school, we can educate for life in the sense that we can, help the information that they're taking in stick with them in meaningful ways. So that even in a math class, it doesn't come down to just, oh, you're going to need this in the supermarket when you're paying for your food, but the lessons that you learn can transcend mathematics or language or whatever the subject is. So that would be my 2 cents for this, that the relevance is important.
For sure. And I would imagine that would be difficult maybe in your Latin class, right? As opposed to theology. I mean, I know we have some students who have just jumped right into Latin and they're looking at it ahead of time now in terms of college and perhaps maybe a vocation and, and how that connects. And so it's really finding that relevancy throughout every curriculum. And I applaud you for that. That's awesome. So Ms. Havrish, I'm going to go to you next. Maybe let's talk about our sciences, if you will, and what that looks like. You could also speak to, if you feel comfortable, kind of breaking down the sciences that we offer. That would be great, and what that looks like.
So yes, so freshman year, your student will take biology and they'll be placed into biology, either regular bio or honors biology. And as they move up in courses here at IC, they typically take chemistry their sophomore year, and then their junior year or both, they can take physics. So we here at IC move students through a bio, chem, and physics courses as they move up. And then their senior year opens up to the wide variety of electives that we here and offer here at IC. So anatomy, physiology, environmental science, AP biology, AP Chem. So they have a good array of sciences they can take. And some students do actually double up on their sciences, which is good point for colleges to see and look at with our students here at IC. Typically with the biology courses, I could speak on behalf of those. Within each unit, I try to do a lab. So lots of hands-on activities. With COVID, it's been a little bit difficult, but I've still provided opportunities for virtual lab experiences One of the favorites with my students last year as we moved towards the end of the year was the virtual pig dissection. So they actually got to see that, and which was really, really cool. And most of my students appreciated that opportunity as well. So we try to
Awesome.
push the academics and science forward here at IC. So
Great. I love the hands-on, and
yeah,
really creativity is the name of the game, isn't it?
yes,
And just being flexible with our learners as well as with our teaching.
yeah.
And that creativity has shown tenfold in our science classes, in all of our classes for sure. But I know that virtual lab, that's definitely a new experience, right?
Yep. And so we've done a variety of virtual labs with my AP kids as well. So not only being able to do those labs in class, but they're still able to see them and get that content that they need for preparation for that AP test in May. So
Awesome.
Mhm.
Mrs. Tardif, take us through our theology. Take us through, you do so many great things with collaborative learning, and I love seeing your posts on Facebook and our social media of all the different things you're doing in class. So walk us through a class for us.
Sure. So, I think one of the things that we've incorporated into the theology department this year, and I think I'm speaking for all of us, is we've allowed for some time for journaling. And I've got to say, in my course, I have seen some really incredibly thoughtful time. It really was built in sort of to give us some time to make sure we have everybody where they need to be. But the journals usually connect to something that we're talking about in class, which I think gives the students who maybe speaking aloud in class is hard sometimes for them, and it allows them to kind of spend a little bit of time thinking, reflecting. And then our goal sort of down the road is to put these reflective journal pieces together into kind of a portfolio type event that we would have kind of culminating their senior year. So in terms of a course, I was going to just mention, after Mr. Paolelli did, the idea, and I'm not sure all of our parents that are here where your students are coming from, but one of the questions we often get in theology is, I'm not Catholic, or I'm not coming from a Catholic school. What does that look like? And I just, I'm going to take your question a little bit differently, Mrs. Kanzi, but I just wanted to, assure everyone, I think the freshman course really allows everyone to kind of get some firm footing on what it means to look at theology from a Christian perspective. Sometimes we have students that do not come to us from that tradition either, but we try to recognize those traditions as well, and we try to make it so that everybody feels comfortable listening to their classmates, maybe religious traditions or experiences, and then sort of helping to move everybody along in that experience. Again, we recognize not everyone has had 12 years of Catholic education, and some students might be coming to us with really little to no religious education background, which we are fine with, and we welcome the inquisitiveness and the questions, and that I think makes for a really good theology class from freshman year all the way through senior year. So I hope that sort of answers a few things for some of you.
Absolutely, it does. And I think the other side of that too is, how that applies in all of our classes. You're taking that learning and that inclusivity, if you will, and bringing that through all of our classes and opening that conversation up and just kind of embracing where we all are in our different journeys. And I think that's wonderful. So let's head to our English department. And I did see our question about math, so we will absolutely address that as well. But if we could go to our English department, Mr. Nitch and Ms. Doyle, if you could speak to that. And then of course, we'll jump back to Ms. Sebastian, and you could speak to kind of what that class would look like for our Fairly program students. I think that would be helpful as well. Ms. Doyle, do you want to go, or Mr. Nitch? And I know you're all both looking at each other in the classroom. I can see it. It's great. It's awesome.
I can start us off with some of the electives as well as sophomore English in general. I agree 100% with Mr. Paolelli. I know not everyone is a reading fan or loves to read. So I think my biggest thing is trying to make, again, all the topics relevant. Speaking to now, we're reading Macbeth, which is difficult for most of the students, but it's gotten to the point now where I try to connect some of these themes to things happening in our world today. And now it's come to the point where students are noticing things in life and they're like, oh, Miss Doyle, this connects to a certain theme, or we talked about this in Macbeth. So it's drawing those connections that kind of make that interesting, but also it makes them lifelong learners as well. They'll kind of remember and recognize these themes, see what characters went through, and then be able to apply that to their own lives. English 2 really focuses on, as well as all the college prep classes, a combination of reading and analyzing literature, some grammar aspects, writing, and then vocabulary as well. So we kind of mix through those things throughout the entire semester, incorporating some public speaking as well, and kind of narrowing down those skills. With that, journalism and creative writing, these are electives that students are able to take. It takes them through. With journalism, they can write for the school newspaper, and they practice kind of applying real life writing skills and covering different events, interviewing teachers, and kind of practicing those skills. And then the strategies for academic success class is kind of a reading prep class. We prep them for standardized tests, but also kind of catch them up on reading skills, help them develop study skills, and help them kind of get ready. It's for freshmen for the rest of their success as a senior, or through the rest of their years through senior year as well. And then I don't know, Mr. Nitchin, if you want to talk about the AP and honors classes as well.
Yeah, so I think you know, Ms. Doyle hit a lot of the things that we talk about here when we're dealing with, going even back to what Mr. Paolelli said, and trying to make connections. And one of the ways that we do that in our department is we use other programs such as Common Lit is one that has background articles about the things that we're going to read, but tie into different themes or topics, or allusions, right? So with the freshman honors course, they read Animal Farm over the summer, and when they come in, we go into Common Lit and talk about the Russian Revolution and all the tie-ins that were in there. So if the kids were unfamiliar with some of the allusions being made, they can see those type of things. And then as they move forward into their junior and senior year, one of the things I know that I often do is have them think back to the things that they've read over the course of the previous years and make those connections to the things that we're doing now, and comparing characters that we saw from different novels and things like that to other characters, and then kind of going from there. And it's really interesting for me to see that, because I get to see them remembering something they've done years ago and applying it to what we're talking about now. And it kind of, you know, it's really cool for the kids to bring those things back. And when we're talking about like other things that we do, I mean, when we get to the AP classes, we have AP Classroom through College Board, which gives them a lot of the prep work for getting ready for the different type of multiple choice sections on the test, also the written portions of it. In my AP class, we spend a lot of time doing the 3 different types of essays and breaking down prompts and doing a lot of poetry and prose. You know, we look at those kind of things, and then also the free response questions. And there's really just it's a ton of things that go into our department, along with, I think, one that we can forget even when we're talking about it is obviously we're having them write and work on their writing skills throughout the course of their time. And we do a lot of, when they're younger, for sure, we do a lot of heavy revision and getting them to look at, you know, editing their own writing and strengthening it, right? And as they get older, then we kind of ease back on us being the driving force behind that. And they've got this in their toolbox, which helps them when they leave here. So that's a lot of what I talk about with them as seniors is, you know, learning yourself and knowing your strengths and weaknesses as a learner, and what's going to take you forward as you leave us, because we all know that, you know, eventually the support from us isn't going to be there holding that hand, right? So we do a lot of that as well, and getting kids ready for when they leave.
Well said. Thank you for sharing. Miss Sebastian, why don't you walk us through your unique situation? I love our Fairley room. I just think it's kind of a cool spot for us to be and for students to feel that they can learn in a safe space. That's really important. But walk us through what that looks like if we walk into that classroom and we're seeing you as our teacher for that period. How does that look?
Okay, so again, Fairley program is a small setting study hall where I work with students with documented learning needs. What does that look like? The first thing they do once they settle in is we do a check-in. So they're going to show me their daily agenda, and I'm going to make sure that they've been writing down their assignments and staying on top of upcoming tests and projects. We also check PLUS portals every Monday, which is our grade system. So students are monitoring their grades. They can monitor it more than that, but I like to wait till Monday for when grades been updated. The third thing they're going to do is set a goal for themselves that class period. So every day when they come in, they do have to chart what it is that they're going to be focused on during their time with me. What does that look like for each student? It depends on their needs. It's unique to their needs. So it might be me reteaching them an algebra problem. It might be them getting assistance on an outline for a paper. Or finally, if there's someone that gets extended time on assessments, they may be wrapping up a quiz or test. So it just kind of depends on where that student needs lie on that particular day. The number one thing that we do here at IC overall, regardless of Fairley program, is we always put students first. So I think that's a driving force behind all of our decisions as a community, as teachers, and just all in all, that's where we come from. Really quick, I did want to just discuss social studies department because I also have a leg in that.
I was just going to ask if you could kind of veer over there,
No
if you don't mind.
No problem. So for social studies, students are required 3 credits in that. So they are required to take either world history or AP modern world, and that's as a sophomore. Junior year, they would take US history or AP US history. And finally, senior year, government or AP government. Other than that, we also have electives to fill in that credit. And in terms of that, world cultures is offered to freshmen and sophomore. That's kind of a study of world religions and more indigenous cultures, if you will. And then starting sophomore year, they could take sports and US history with me. They could also take that junior or senior year. And then other electives, we also have our psychology, sociology, as well as econ honors. Econ honors is for seniors, and it also fulfills that consumer economics requirement by the state of Illinois.
Awesome. Well said. I didn't want to leave, I didn't want to leave that part out because you are still a very vibrant part of that department as well. And so definitely another opportunity to wear different hats, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's great. Okay, teachers, here's what I'd like to do. If I can just kind of, let's name the elephant in the virtual room, if you will. We have experienced on many different levels for our students, a very different spring semester, last semester, and a very different first quarter already. And I think the unique thing is everybody comes with a different view of what e-learning or remote learning has been, right? They're coming with different experiences, different understandings. And the idea behind that too is, of course, we're going to see some of that learning loss over the year here. And so we're working hard, and I should, better say you're working hard to ensure that that learning loss is not happening while on campus with us. But let's say you have a student that comes in your room, you're noticing a little bit of a gap. We're identifying those things early, as Ms. Sebastian mentioned, we're checking that PLUS portals, we're monitoring grades every week. That's not, something that's willy-nilly. That's definitely something that we do every week by design. What are your next steps? How do you address those gaps? How do you address the student that may be slipping a little bit? How do you address the opportunity to kind of level that playing field for that student?
Do you want me to go, Nikki? I didn't
Sure,
want
go for it.
Okay, I think, again, going back to my point I made earlier, we are always putting students first. And so I think your first step there is to meet the student where they're at. So you need to go ahead and identify where is that learning gap. Students, as you said, come from over 40 different communities. And of course, spring was very different, and every community responded in unique ways. So I think it's important to figure out where they're at and to identify where those learning gaps lie and to begin working on them. Obviously, again, this will be different for each student, but if you do that and you really monitor them in our small by design situation we have going on, I think you're definitely going to see progress and connections. One of the things our teachers are doing, and I say this because I teach in a setting where I see students every day because of their unique learning needs, and the rest of the teachers are seeing them in a hybrid model. Our teachers are knocking out of the park with synchronous learning. Okay, this is very challenging for teachers, but they are killing it. So gaps that do exist, they're closing at a more rapid rate. If you look at high schools in the area, you're going to see reduced minutes and you're going to see 100% virtual. you don't see that here. And again, that goes back to, we were trying to put together a plan that was best for students. Is it easiest for teachers? No, but they're doing it and the results have been amazing. So I think, again, to go back to that first point, if you put students first, meet them where they're at, identify those learning gaps, that you're going to be able to close them with some interventions. And one last thing is, we did have to take an adapted pause. And during that time, we were monitoring our students remotely. So any of our students that we had been concerned about, we were doing that, and they were meeting me for additional academic support as well as virtual office hours. And I know that all of our teachers were doing that as well.
Just the presence, and it's not even just that physical presence, even just the virtual presence, just being accessible for our students to identify where our needs lie and address that immediately. We don't want to wait till the semester to say,
No.
oh shoot, we wish we would have caught something. And I couldn't agree with you more in terms of our teachers doing a phenomenal job with that. I do want to circle back quickly just for those people who are wondering what model we're in. We have been in a hybrid model since August. So our students have been on campus since August. We have half of our population in the building at a time. The other half, while we're learning remotely, there's quite a bit of structure there. And so they are learning remotely, either at a desk or a table. We're not, laying in bed in our PJs, right? They're logging into all of our classrooms. We have interactive conference cameras in all of our classrooms. So to Ms. Sebastian's point, that interaction is happening even if students are at home. So teachers are calling on students remotely. Students are expected to engage in the classroom with their peers as well as their teachers. It's a really remarkable piece of the puzzle, and I cannot tell you how humbling it is to be in a classroom and watch that. It is definitely not easy on our teachers, but they are handling that with great ease in terms of grace and flexibility and just meeting students where they're at. And so I think that's just an important piece of the puzzle. Teachers, I know you have just a few minutes with us. If we could do a round robin, if you will, I always ask teachers, I say, you're beautifully talented, you're very gifted. We're very blessed to have wonderful academic institutions, IC being one of them. But why IC for you? Why IC for you as an educator? Why do you choose to teach in our environment and in our school? What is it for you that brings you back every day and with a smile underneath that mask? What is that piece of the puzzle? And you know what, we're going to go back to maybe Mr. Nitchin, if you could kick us off here.
All right, put me on the spot, Ms. Kanzia. No,
I like to keep you on your
the funny
toes.
thing is, I'm looking at, I look at my desk and I've got pictures of the girls team I coached a few years ago and the boys team from last year. And that's always been a big thing for me, is the relationships I've been able to make with my players, but my students and the families here too, right? So that's something that I wouldn't have found in, necessarily the big public schools that I worked in before. You get a little bit of that, but here I had, going back to that group that I coached with the girls, I coached them as freshmen and sophomores. I taught them as sophomores and seniors. And so, you get to know them for the entire time that they're here. And even then the crossover, right? I coached a girl and then coached her brother and was going to coach her youngest brother this year. So, the families, then you get to know them and they get to know you, and they've gotten to know my wife, and it's a really interesting community that kind of gets built around here that is not something that you'll find everywhere else.
Well said. And we do love your wife. She's fabulous. Mrs. Tardif, why don't you jump in? You could take the angle of a teacher, a parent, and then Mr. Paolelli, I know you have to jump off, so I'm going to go to you next. If you have just another minute, that would be great. So Mrs. Tardif, if you don't mind.
Sure. So, I think I would have said what Tom said as well about the family piece, but, so being an alum, I am now a parent. I have a sophomore son, and also being a teacher. This is my 8th year here back at IC. So there is something about the community, not only of the students, the family, and the faculty. I know Mr. Davidson addressed it a little bit earlier, and again, I won't repeat what Mr. Nitchin said, but I'll focus on kind of the faculty piece. There is something so special about the people that we work with and the people that your students will encounter each and every day. I mean, yes, it has been a challenging year for sure, but I think there's something about being able to meet with these faculty members, meet with these friends, you know, in the hall before and after school. And that is really part of this. You know, we have that camaraderie together, and that really, I think, is something that's very unique and very special about IC.
Agreed. Mr. Paolelli.
Once again, the mute button strikes again. I would echo what Sarah just said. I absolutely love the faculty here. It's a great group of people, and what I've really enjoyed over the years that I've been here, this is my 7th year, is just this united purpose that I've sensed. And I've worked at other schools and I haven't always gotten that feeling. I've never gotten it as strongly as I do here, that people are here because they want to be here, and they want to be here because they want to help students succeed and learn. And there's this unified goal that comes through. And no matter how frustrated or tired people get, that goal is always uniting us. And I really mean that. It's incredible to be at a place. Like, I'm very vocation driven in terms of why I teach. And I like teaching here because so are the other people. So are the rest of the faculty. And that's an awesome feeling. And that's what keeps me coming back, because we're all looking in the same direction, all trying to accomplish the same purpose.
Common goal. So powerful. Thank you for being with us today. We really appreciate all you do. Ms. Havrish, I know you have a timeline too, so why don't you go ahead?
I just want to echo everything that everybody has said so far. One reason why I chose IC is the strong faith-based community here. I have had the pleasure to assist Ms. Tardif in the liturgy masses as a Eucharistic minister. It is just that combination with the faith-based and the academically challenging community here at IC, and also the family aspect. Those 3 points really, really made me feel here like IC is my home, especially with the students, being able to see their faces every day, especially with the hybrid model. I think that is a really good combination for me being a part of this community at IC.
And we're so blessed to have you. Thank you for all you do and for taking time with us. I know everybody's real busy, but thank you. Okay, Ms. Doyle, you're up.
So I graduated from U of I in 2019. So I had been actually in placements in a bunch of different high schools for a different semester. So I have a recent knowledge of a bunch of different types of schools. And IC is so different in the sense that we're building kind of the whole person, right? Obviously, it's an academically challenging school. It's a Catholic school, so we're developing that faith. However, we're also developing the person. I had never experienced a school where the students seem to be extremely close and friendly and kind. The faculty, we've got a huge network and a family within our faculty as well. But it's also the students, they ask each other, how was your Thanksgiving and how are you? They're not just immediately, in some schools, they were on their phones or they were doing their thing. They genuinely care about one another. And they're also the first to ask me, Ms. Doyle, how was your Thanksgiving? And they care about me as a person, I care about them, and they care about each other. So it's creating such a strong family that everyone cares about one another. If someone's going through a hard time, everyone seems to be going through a hard time. And it's created such a great family, really, truly.
Happy to have you. Thank you. Ms. Sebastian.
So both as a student and now as a teacher in the building, I would say the thing that draws me to IC Catholic Prep and makes me want to get other people to become a part of it is that we're this wonderful faith-based community that is truly like a family. And as a teacher, the best part about it is I can develop relationships because of our small setting, which really maximize individual student growth, and we really can maximize their success in this setting. And of course, as class sizes get bigger at other schools, that becomes more challenging. And fortunately, due to our size, we're able to preserve our class size and really have some positive results from that.
Well said. We love it and appreciate all you do. Ms. Doyle, thanks for being with us. I know, and I don't know, Ms. Sebastian, if I'm sure you have kids coming in the room too. So if you have to log off, that's fine. I am still available for some questions, and I know Mr. Davidson is still with us. So if you have any questions for If Ms. Sebastian's still on, or Mr. Davidson or myself, this would be the time to jump right in. I know we've been fielding those throughout, which is awesome, and then keep those coming. If I can just kind of step back for a brief moment and kind of do a quick look at our curriculum. At the very base of everything, we are a college prep curriculum, a very rigorous honors and AP course curriculum. However, I did mention in that chat feature, we do have wonderful partnerships within the community. And so Elmhurst University being one of those. We have several students who have taken the opportunity to take courses at Elmhurst their senior year, and so begin their college career with college credits after their name. And so we have some students who just have done some great things with that as well. And it's really about reaching out into the community and reaching out beyond the four walls of our school. And so our teachers have done a great job preparing our students for that as well. Mr. Davidson, I don't know, based on some of the questions or some things that you heard today, if you wanted to wrap up some of those thoughts as well.
I mean, whenever I have these experiences where I hear from our teachers, it just solidifies what I already know about our building, right? Which is that we have amazing people working here who are dedicated to the mission of the school, that truly feel like they're part of a family, that everyone's busting their butts this year to make sure that our students are doing well and succeeding. And so these are just always very uplifting moments for me when I listen to our teachers, talk about their experiences and their connections with our students. And it's a very real thing. It's only a 40-minute talk here where we're talking about it, but the joy is that we get to see it every day. So I can't thank our teachers enough for everything that they're doing.
It's humbling. It definitely is humbling. In our family, I come from a big Italian family. We say questa la familia. This is the family, right? And it really is an extension of our family. And I think Megan Doyle said it, in terms of if we're all struggling with something, we rally together. And that's what it is to be a part of a family. We go through great times and we go through hard times together. And the thing that we like to focus on is that we are stronger together and we come out in the end together. And I think if we continue to keep those students at the center of everything we do, good things start to happen. And it's been really humbling to see our teachers work since last March, right? March 13th, I think everything kind of shut down. And by that Monday morning, our teachers were online teaching. I mean, there was really no break for our students. And that's what we like to consider. It's that commitment to our students. It's the commitment to learning of all levels, right? And it's the commitment to ensuring that our students are prepared for beyond high school. And our teachers do that day in and day out. Obviously, you're getting a very biased view, right? We're very proud. We're very proud of our faculty and staff, and it should be that way. And I wish I could put everybody on the Zoom call with us, but it is pretty humbling to see the work that gets done day in and day out.
Yeah, we had a good question about the school day. The day begins at 7:45. Classes end at 2:50. So we have an 8-period day. And what that means is students would take 7 classes in a study hall, and then lunch would be a 23-minute period during the day as well. In a typical year, students would arrive to the building some before 7 o'clock. But typically it really starts to pick up about 10 after 7 or so. There are lots of students that will, work on homework, get breakfast and stuff like that in the morning. And then of course, go see their teachers as well for study groups, for, whether they had questions about homework or tests coming up. And they do the same thing after school. A lot of our students will go see their teachers after school at 2:50. Sports typically start around 3:15 to 3:30, so they do have a little bit of time with that. And it's a really active building. There's always life going on here at IC. Even in the pandemic, it's been relatively the same. But I would say, teachers and students have become a lot more flexible where, they're meeting. I'll give you an example. I met with a student 2 nights ago at 8:30 at night on Zoom, right? So, it happens differently maybe now than it has in the past. But that connection is really important, and it's happening all the time for our teachers and students.
Great. Let's talk quick fast facts. I think we get these questions a lot, so I like to preemptively answer those Currently, we have 365 students in our building by design. Mr. Davidson and I had this conversation the other night with the family. We don't want to be a very large high school. We like to keep that small by design feel. So we do really work to keep those small class sizes. While we say we're small by design in the instructional piece of the puzzle, we're not small in offerings. And so, whether it's the 19 clubs and activities, the multiple athletic programs, there's always something to do. And we really encourage our students to get involved from day one so that they are building that college resume. So by the time they're a senior, they have great application materials ready to go. We have students coming from over 40 different communities. And so really the thing I love about that piece is when our students come to IC, it's not, oh, you're from here and you're from here. It's we are IC. We all have to work together. We all have to be a part of that community. And it really becomes a microcosm of real life. And I think that's why our students do so well in the real world, right? The other unique piece is we are the only Catholic high school in the state of Illinois still affiliated with a parish. So Immaculate Conception is our parish. On our campus, we have our worship spaces, our parish buildings. Our priests, deacons, and seminarians live on campus, which is amazing, an amazing experience that we're surrounded by faith at all turns. We have our grade school building that is a separate entity, but they are on campus with us. And we have our high school buildings. And so our students are moving throughout the campus as a microcosm of a college campus. And so that really opens up so many wonderful opportunities in terms of our academics and curriculum and giving them a very unique experience at the high school level. We definitely celebrate that quite a bit. And then by design, we have administrators across campus. And so we have our main high school building and we have administrators on every floor just to make sure that nobody's going under the radar. We don't want anybody to get lost in the shuffle. We have administrators in the second building where our resource center is and our fine arts center is. And then we span all the way over to our gym building where we have our athletic director, assistant athletic director. So it really is a community effort that way. What other questions might you have?
Yeah, and feel free to unmute yourself and just ask that way too. You don't have to use the chat.
Yes, of course, of course. Do all students get assigned a counselor? Awesome question. So, Mr. Davidson, let's tag team this one. I like to call our counseling department, well, I consider it the heart of our school, literally, figuratively, both, like it's in the middle of our school, figuratively. Wow, these women have great heart. I call them the dream team of counseling. We have one counselor who really does a lot more with our juniors, seniors, college and career counseling. And then we have one that works really with our freshmen, sophomores, as well as that social emotional piece. And then we have our therapy dog, Mabel. And so Mabel kind of rounds out that piece of the puzzle for that social emotional piece of school, and find that helps so much with anxiety and some of the things that we, tragedies in the school, God forbid. It's been a really exciting piece, but these counselors do a fine job addressing the needs of our students preemptively, but also, just being available and present for our students. So Mr. Davidson, I know you and I talked about that as well. You could speak to that.
Sure. We have two counselors, and our counselors meet with our students each year, and sometimes more than once a year. Ms. Ortiz typically will meet with the freshmen in the first couple of weeks of school to make sure that students are doing well in their adjustment to high school. They're getting involved, they're meeting friends, they're seeing teachers. She also definitely works with students who might be having a hard time adjusting, whether it might be through time, working on organization, time management, study skills, all those types of things, and helping those students to connect to their teachers, to advocate for themselves as well, right? The focus of the counseling office is really kind of threefold, right? You have the academic support and academic planning portion of it. You have the college and career aspect of it. As a college prep school, in freshman year, they're going to meet with their counselors and talk about colleges right off the bat. Mm-hmm. And course selection, of course, and where they're going to, let's say they want to be a doctor and go to Northwestern. Well, then they're going to be taking AP chemistry and AP biology. And, we make sure that our counselors are working with those students to make sure that they know what courses are the best courses to take to get to where they need to get to. And then, of course, you have the social emotional piece as well, right? And In this crazy world that we live in that keeps getting crazier and crazier, really important to make those connections for students and be that support for students. So, you know, I think with 2 counselors, we have, you know, I guess it would be an average of about 190 students per counselor, something like that, right? Which is pretty good average wise. You know, if you look in your bigger schools, I think the recommendation is somewhere between 200 to 250 students per counselor. So we're below that, and that's really important that they can make those connections.
And the other thing to note, I know we had a question about how do we schedule if we need something, you know, how do we schedule with the counselor? Our counselors have a scheduling system for students. You know, they're really tiered. If you need something like immediately, we have a process for that as well, making sure that our students are taken care of. And then the other piece to that I should mention is just the shared leadership model. Mr. Davidson, Mrs. Gaborowski, our president, obviously is the head of that leadership team. There are 3 of us who serve as assistant principals, very different roles, so that we make sure that, you know, if a counselor is tied up somewhere, there are many people on campus that will jump in, and that shared leadership model really is essential, not only to the day-to-day, but also in times of you know, need or tragedy, et cetera. I think the other piece of that is, especially in this COVID world, our counselors have been very available as well virtually. And so I know they have been doing virtual meetings with students, whether they're in school or remote, and just making sure that they're staying present and not only protecting that academic piece, but that social emotional well-being. To that end, our counselors have designed a virtual calming space. And so if you have the time or the need, I mean, it's a community piece, go to our website at iccatholicprep.org under academics. The very bottom of that tab, there's a virtual calming room, and there are so many great resources from, you know, meditation videos to just calming music to journal entry prompts and coloring pages. So there's something for everyone. And so it's a really neat piece of the puzzle as well. I know we also had a question about security, and I love that question. I love to address that question. The health, well-being, safety, and security of our students on campus and our faculty and staff is a #1 priority. And so while our students are moving about the campus, we take great strides and great pride in protecting our community. And so we have state-of-the-art cameras all over campus. I mean, inside, outside, nobody really goes unnoticed. And we have people watching, you know, throughout the day. All our buildings are locked throughout the day. You need key access to get in. For students, each building is armed with a bell, and before entering, we have to have a visual and making sure, you know, that's the other reason to having administration in all of our buildings. And so it really is an all-in effort. But I tell students, you know, just know, even though you don't think you are on camera. So make sure you're smiling. But it's something that I think, you know, it's important to talk about. Obviously, I wish we didn't have to talk about it, but it is definitely important, and it's definitely a priority on our campus.
Well
Great
said.
questions. Anything else? Okay, so let's talk next steps. This is where I get very excited. So this Saturday is the entrance exam, 3 days away. My goodness, for our 8th grade students, this is a very exciting time. And it's that next great step to becoming a knight. We really want to make sure our students know that, well, yes, it's an important piece of the puzzle. It is definitely a snapshot in the day in the life of your child. And so when we determine acceptance as an administrative and admissions team, we look at 7th and 8th grade report cards, standardized testing, teacher evaluations. We want to get the best picture of your son or daughter as possible. So with that, we will test, we'll send home some important information for release of records and teacher evaluations. We review all of those pieces for every student that applies to IC Catholic Prep. We want to make sure 2 things, that IC is a great fit for your child and that your child is a great fit for IC. It's a 2-way street, and making sure that they're going to come in as a productive member of our community. We call them to excellence, and we do that by design. We know that they're full of greatness, and we want to make sure that they're being their best selves through their high school career. So once we do that, then we typically use those entrance exams to help inform some of our decisions with regards to placement on campus. So what courses would be best for our families, for our students, what their placement would look like. To Mr. Davidson's point, if they want to go into the medical field, if they want to go into accounting field, if they want to be an entrepreneur, and what does that look like in terms of our classes and that course load. After all is said and done, the next step is just really pushing to August and making sure that they stay connected with the different events that we'll start to have. We'll start to do some more of those virtual events probably, and hosting our students as we did last year, just to make sure that we continue to build that community. That's going to be essential as we move forward. For you as parents though, it's really an exciting time, because while the entrance exam, you're lucky you don't have to take that. While the entrance exam happens next, really it's your opportunity to start to get to know other parents. We will have several opportunities for that as well, maybe another virtual event. We're praying for some on-campus events as well. But starting in the new year, for sure, we have many opportunities for parents to be involved in our Parents Club, our Boosters Club, perhaps some of our fundraisers, and heading up some of those galas or a block party. And it's an awesome way to just stay connected. We love that partnership. And so things will start to move very quickly, but it really starts with that entrance exam. We have been sending weekly e-blasts, and I know many of you probably got those to be with us today, but if you know somebody that still needs a high school home or has questions, or you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out either by phone or email. We are happy to schedule a separate Zoom with all of you if that helps, or have conversations with other teachers or students. I think that student piece is also very important. So really it's about learning what's best for your family and being able to help you through that journey together. Mr. Davidson, what did I forget?
I don't think we forgot anything. And if we did, we're in the whirlwind right now, right? We got a couple days to go and we're getting excited, and students are getting nervous and excited. And, we're just here to answer any of those questions, and reach out when you feel like you have anything that you're concerned about or questions about. And, that's what we're here for. But yeah, we're in the final push here for both the entrance and for the final, push of the semester. And hopefully everybody has a safe and healthy Christmas break and relaxes a little bit and gets to see some family members and everything. And we'll be back for second semester, and hopefully for next year for a normal, man, wouldn't that be nice to just say
For
normal,
sure.
normal year, right?
That would be awesome. But, we always tell our families, it is a journey, and we want you to know that regardless of that outcome, and obviously we hope that's with us, but regardless of that outcome, just know that you're in our prayers. Be assured of our prayers as you walk this journey. And we say that every time, and we mean that sincerely. This is not easy. It's not easy in a typical year, but especially in a year that we have to be physically distant, we really want to make sure that we are not socially distant and we stay connected so that you don't feel alone in that process. So please make sure that you reach out should you need anything. The other side to that then is just know that we're very excited for what's to come and cannot wait to have you on campus with us real soon. But we always say go Knights. So I hope to see you on campus, and make sure that we're wearing those blue, white, and gold, and seeing you on campus to celebrate your students in the future. Thanks for being with us today. I hope you all have a wonderful day. God bless you. Mr. Davidson, thanks for being with us and sticking it out to the end. We appreciate it. I hope everybody has a great day today. God bless.
Bye-bye.